During my freshman year of film school, I took a class called Contemporary Cinema. It was described to me as a class where we'd watch and talk about indie films from modern times. I thought this would be perfect for me since I love talking about and discovering lesser known films from this era. Little did I know that that meant films that came out before I was even born. Some of these films were great, and others put me to sleep. On top of this, we had to write a 2-page paper at least on each of them, but I struggled to even write that much about some of the more boring ones. They weren't necessarily bad films, some of them were, they were just boring. And it was entirely different than writing a review for this channel because I couldn't use any jokes and I couldn't use any visual gags at all, since they had to be professional and an essay. It was different, but I learned a lot. None of the films that we watched in this class really stood out to me more than Slacker, a 1991 no-budget film about nothing. The structure of this film is what makes it really interesting. It begins with a young man being picked up from a taxi in an airport, and he tells the taxi driver about a dream he had, which lasts for about 3 or 4 minutes, then it moves on to the next scene. Neither of these characters are ever seen again. When a character leaves their scene, they're never seen again. And that's the movie. These little snippets of life in Austin that bounce from one to another. The tone is weird. Some scenes are funny and some are monotone. Some are bizarre and some are normal. It has no plot, no opening, closing, middle, or anything. No closure for any of these stories either. It's like you're just thrown into them and then whisked away. When I first saw this movie, I was bored, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how cool it was. It's the perfect way to capture the tone of a city and cover all of its ground. Think of any other movie that heavily revolves around one specific city. You're only really seeing a handful of perspectives there. But with Slacker, you're covering everything. But the plot is being sacrificed. On top of all that, its budget is minuscule. It shows, but in the best way. It has that low-budget vibe which I love. Heck, one scene is shot on a Fisher-Price camera. Contrasting that, the cast is huge. There are nearly 80 equal characters seen in this film. I don't know any other film that does that. The closest thing I can think of is Infinity War, but even then someone like Iron Man got way more screen time than someone like Shuri or Wong. What I didn't like about this film upon viewing it was that it's all dialogue, and about 95% of it is meaningless too. So I guess keep that in mind if you're gonna watch it. So in a way, I guess the city of Austin is the main character of this film. Its culture is shown between each of these characters, each showing different walks of life. One scene could be someone trying to rob a house and getting caught, albeit in a way that is much less interesting than it sounds, and the next scene could be someone trying to get over their ex by throwing a typewriter into a river. I usually end reviews by saying if I recommend a film or not, and I can't really say if I recommend this. My professor said that when this film debuted, 1/3 of the audience loved it, 1/3 hated it, and the other third fell asleep. And it sounds pretty accurate. I'd give Slacker a shot if you think that you're into this kind of thing, and I'll definitely review some of the other films that I saw in this class. I meant to a while ago, but I've been slacking.